Even more contention between voice actors and video game producers. Bethesda's big announcement about review copies. One of the most infamous movie makers deciding to retire. And of course, new YouTube developments. I'm Ollamh, and welcome to Weathering the Front News.
This is the hour. Darkest place, Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze. It's a good world gone bad.
So our big story, and the one that I'm personally wanting to continue following until it ends, is the SAG Strike of voice actors in video games has come to a bit more light. Some of the issues have been clarified a bit more, and including the previously mentioned secondary compensation, there's also a lack of transparency in the negotiation phase. As of right now, voice actors are very rarely told what title it is they're going to be working on and what role they're going to have. Now, this is one of those things that a lot of video game producers look at this and say, well, that's for our security. If we tell you, then that news is out there. It's like they don't trust the voice actors to keep quiet unless they are very strictly under contract. But at the same time, that really restricts how well they can negotiate with a video production company. Now let's take, for example, say somebody's potentially working out a deal with Ubisoft to provide voices for one of their games. Are they going to be working on one of their side projects from their Reflection studio, or are they going to be working on one of their flagship products? Are they going to be working on something like Assassin's Creed, or are they going to be working on the next installment and next step up for Grow Up and Grow Home? Without knowing this, that really limits what you're able to negotiate and how you're able to negotiate. Now, some other video game production people have brought up the point that, well, they make about $800 a day for a day's work. That's more than enough money. If they work every day, they're just swimming in cash. And that's nowhere near the truth. Number one, just like with movies, TV shows, everything like that, you have to get out and you have to beat the streets in order to drum up work. Work is not just falling out of the sky for you, unless you're one of two people, and that's Nolan North and Troy Baker. If you're not one of those two people, finding work is not easy. You have to have an agent out just drumming up work constantly. A lot of big names and a lot of really, really talented voice actors don't make much in the way of from video games. I mean, they could do a spot on a really big video game and it sells millions and millions of copies. They get their $825 for the 4-hour gig and that's it. That's all. And then you have to take into account taxes and stuff like that. And no, that's not a whole lot of money. So I really got to side with the voice actors on this. I mean, there's already established precedent of movies, voice actors for cartoons and animations and stuff like that. So yeah, voice actors wanting the same type of deal as far as video games is not unheard of. The video game producers have had a really good run as far as getting cheap voices for so long, and I think it's time that they actually take some of their massive profits and give that to the people that are responsible for their games selling so well. In other video game related news, Bethesda has stated they are going to release review copies of their games just one day before the game's release. Now this has been criticized because, well, if you only release it the day before the game releases, that's not enough time to really review the game. You have 24 hours, basically, to get an impression of the game, write something up, post it online, or record a video. with games like No Man's Sky coming out, that's kind of, it's gonna make your games look pretty crappy if you don't release, if there's no reviews of the game up until the day before. Now, Bethesda says, well, we did this with Doom, and it did great, it did wonderful, and personally, I can't help but think that what they're trying to do is capitalize on massive hype and immediate hype. You can release a review copy a month before the game is actually released. You have video game footage out there on YouTube, you have reviews of the game, and everybody knows what to expect, but that's still a month before the game is officially released. And that's enough time for something else to get into the minds of your potential market. And with more social media, with more stuff on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Facebook, in the news, the more news we have, the easier it is for something to make a mark on you and then fade over time. I personally think that what they're trying to do is say, okay, well, this is going to be major hype, this is going to be, this is going to be a dozen different videos of gameplay that people haven't seen yet the day before the game comes out. That is going to build massive hype for the game, and that's what they're looking at to try and help drive the sales for their games. It's not a bad idea, but again, with some of the lackluster games that have come out that have had major hype, relying on hype may not be the greatest answer out there. Now, how to transition from video games to other markets. It's a tough call, but in this case, it's pretty easy. Moving on to movie news, we have Uwe Boll, who has stated recently that he is retiring from movie making. Now, in the interview, he stated that he has not had anybody paying him to make movies, but has been using his own money since 2005. Interestingly enough, 2005 is when Germany rewrote their tax code so that movie makers cannot write off the production cost of their film when it fails to make a profit. Uwe Boll has been known to make use of this loophole. Somebody pays him to make a movie, he makes the movie, he makes a really crappy video game movie, and it doesn't make any money. It doesn't make a profit. So all of a sudden, he can turn around and he can write off the entire production cost. Everything that he spent, he can write off of his taxes because the movie didn't make a profit. Like I stated, in 2005 that changed, and in 2005 is when he started using his own money to make his movies. From what he has said, he has been doing that since 2005, and he has been losing money. One can't help but wonder if years and years of making movies with the express purpose of not making a profit, of actually losing money, is what really kind of cemented itself into his style, and he hasn't been able to break out of that style. Now, a lot of people aren't going to care one way or the other. They're going to look at things like Postal, or they're going to look at things like Blood Rain, and they're going to say, yeah, thank goodness he's out of the game. Moving on to YouTube news, YouTube has made the in-screen cards available for everybody now. Now, the in-screen cards are different from the previous card system, which had this little emblem, this little exclamation mark up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And it's drastically different from annotations, which were only available on desktop. They did not work for mobile devices, such as phones, tablets, and a lot of the things that people are now using to watch YouTube videos. So, the big difference with the end screen is it's 20 seconds at the end of the video, and you can put up links to different videos. You can actually set it so that it does your latest video. It does personally recommended based on the person who's viewing, based on their viewing history, which one of your videos they're going to want to watch next. You can do playlists, you can do specific videos. You can also have it set so that it will open up the subscribe. You can link to other channels on YouTube. You can also link to external websites. Now you can have 4 elements in the in-screen section at a time. This is good because, again, it's available on tablets, it's available on phones, it's available on any mobile device. Any device that people are using, they can tap or click or do whatever they want on the screen and go to the suggested video. Now, the one downside that I can see to this is what we've always done on Ollamh production videos is we actually have essentially a 20-second preview of that video. There's 20 seconds of that video there, with 10 seconds of it being including audio. So you can really kind of capture people's interest with that by actually showing part of the, if it's a gaming video, you can show parts of the gameplay. If it's a review, you can show parts of that review and really select it so that, okay, well, I want 10 seconds that's really going to capture somebody's interest. If you bring up a really bizarre point about the movie, if you have a really, really awesome part of the video gameplay, you can focus on that. And with annotations, it was easy because you had an empty box that you just put around it and said, anywhere in this box, if somebody clicks somewhere in this box, it's going to take them to that video. With the in-screen card setup, you have to use the thumbnail. Which, again, if you have a really good thumbnail, perfectly fine. But if you are used to using the visual and audio stimulation to get people's interest, this card system is a little lacking. Personally, I would prefer that they just give us a semi-transparent card that has the link to this that we can place over that video that's playing, over that video that 20-second video of this gameplay or this review or something like that. Now, I'm going to be playing around with it the next few weeks as far as how to use it to our advantage, which means it's probably still going to have some audio elements from those videos, probably 10 seconds to the top video and then 10 seconds to the bottom video, to get people's interest and to kind of get them drawn to something over here is going on. So what do you think about the topics that we brought up today? What do you think about the voice actors versus video game production companies? Do you think that video game producers have such a small margin that they can't afford to offer bonuses to the voice actors for really well-selling games? Or that the industry is so competitive that they can't tell the voice actors what game they're going to be involved in or what role they're going to have for fear of that information getting out to competitors? And what about Bethesda's review copies being narrowed down and drastically shortened time-wise? Do you think it's going to play out that people are going to be energized by the videos, or do you think that a smaller review time means that less people are going to be interested? And how about Uwe Boll? What do you think about Uwe Boll? Do you like some of his movies? Do you just hate his movies and you're glad that he's quitting? Leave a comment down below and let us know what you think. Or, of course, send us a tweet or a post on our Facebook page. We'd love to know what you have to think about these things. As always, thank you very much for watching. And stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions.
If you wanna see some crazy
Cheerio.
and also lazy, then you should meet me and my friends.
Hey, everybody. Your presents are here. At least in theory. I'm still waiting. With his buddy, Exposition Bob, we find out that nobody likes George because of his imagination. To be fair, I'm not sure